Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lights on Data show. Today, we're going to talk about the tools needed to be a data analyst and by a data analyst.
We are George and Diana, and we welcome you to the show. Our guest today is José Pérez. He's a serial entrepreneur with 3 startups funded. He's a Techstars and Y Combinator alumni. He started his career as a developer and has pivoted towards product and data over time. During this process, he has seen how developers have very specific tools for each need, and on the other hand, how data analysts are really neglected. That's where the idea of creating Trackinplan was born. Today, Josele would dive deep into the world of data analytics, sharing his hands-on experience and his hard-earned insights, and the driving force behind creating Trackinplan. Welcome, Josele. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to talk to you and your audience.
It's great to have you all the way from Spain where the weather is awesome. We usually start by asking our guests to share a fun fact about themselves or a hobby.
When people ask me about that, I say typical Spanish, I think. Apart from work and computers and coding in my free time, when my mates actually allow me to do, I love football, like European football. It's my passion. So going to the stadium and it's like the time in the week I can actually stop my mind and just see
Be in your
people
body.
doing something, being myself. I hope that myself is someone watching.
Very nice.
Football.
So, Josele, I can picture you being in the stadium, and as you're watching the game and seeing people running, you're seeing numbers and data and computations and like in beautiful mind.
I think I'm far more simple than that. But what I wanted to start at some point a startup about that tracking players and the data in there, but someone did that actually better than I would have done. So actually interesting problem, sports data.
I must say that when I think of Spain, I think of tennis players as well. Do you ever watch tennis? Are you a fan?
Yeah. I watched tennis. I was like a go Rafa, and now
Yes.
Same here.
Go Carlos.
So are we. Yeah.
That's a
Vamos.
keyword, I think. And I played tennis when I was a kid, but now I'm like a terrible player. I don't even dare to grab a racket. But
Nice.
sport. Sports is it's something that it's in my DNA. I think I love sports.
Oh, nice. It's fun. Can also be a challenge.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive into our topic today. Basically, data analysts often face challenges when it comes to having the right tools for the job. From your perspective, can you tell us what would a data analyst need to have in their tool set?
Okay, tool set. I think the main problem I find, like with the right tools for a data analyst, is that they all focus on what happens in the data pipeline. So the DBT, Fivetran, transformations, and Snowflake or your data warehouse problem, and how to control that and how to validate everything is working there. And they forget about the data collection phase. And what I've seen is that you have a lot of engineers working on making this inside part, let's call it the inside part of the data, but the outer part of the data is the root of all evil in data, and things get broken. So you typically find that you do a great job, you understand your data, how it's working, but still your data still sucks. And that's why the data comes from the users. And the users are running like weird environments. They have like different browsers, different mobiles, different Android versions, different iPhone versions. So the data you are collecting goes through Facebook, Google Analytics, and third-party providers that you don't control. So what I found in my career, and that's why we started Trackinplan, is that side of the business. Now there are no tools there. I have, from my experience, what I've seen and happened to me in my previous company, is that you can invest a lot of money in having that part okay, and in the end, everything depends on someone using a spreadsheet with the specifications or the tracking plan actually, SQL console that maybe it's expensive to use or it's slow, and a Chrome extension that some individual in Ohio built at some point. So that's the huge difference, because the problems come from many problems come from that side, but we all are focused on the other side that's actually pretty much solved. Like the modern data stack works, but you're on top of the the things that always break. I think that that's the core problem and why there are no actually good data tools out there.
To capture that properly. And do you feel, there's a comment here from, and he's mentioning Excel a couple of times, and I assume still in the real world, like you mentioned, a lot of people are still trying to track that through Excel, and it's not very sustainable. But do you feel right now it's not the data analyst problem to care about what happens, the data in the pipeline, but more of the data engineer role, and maybe there's a bit of a disjoint there between them?
I think that this is the data analyst, right? What I found is that kind of integration, that how the data goes to Facebook, how the data goes to all the marketing tools you have. You send the data to TikTok, you send data to Facebook Pixel, to Google Analytics, to Intercom, to HubSpot, all that tools. So you later will fetch that data and put into your data pipeline. You can fetch that process is solved. You can actually, they have an API, you can pull the data, you can push it to that's okay. But you have before that, you have pushed the data there. And to push the data there, you have like code in your front ends that changes like in every release of your product that you don't control and actually gets broken. So there's, even in the different roles you can find in your audience and in the data world, you have data engineers. They do a really great job in the side. They have version control, they have tests, they have everything. But in that other side, you have nothing. You have, again, just a team of data or an agency that's actually working with Google Tag Manager, actually creating the data. And the data was born broken, and in the end, your data sucks. That's the problem.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey. So you started as a developer, and then you also, obviously you're working with data as a developer too, and you were starting to see all these things. And then one day you're like, okay, I need to develop a solution because there's nothing out there. I need to develop it myself.
Yeah. My story is, I've been an entrepreneur like my whole life. I studied computer science. I had 2 startups. 2 of them, they were really data intensive. And after that, I joined as a CPO in another company. And back then, we went through all that. We went through all that, creating the data stack, like the model data stack. Everything was perfect. And we actually faced that problem I mentioned before. And when we saw that, and it was me and one of my co-founders, Oleg, who was also working in that company, we felt that we can help. We started even working in the company. We hired like the best data analysts we can find to solve that problem. And we found that they were just using nothing to solve it. It was less like, the idea was every week you go to your website and open the network tab and navigate and check again the spreadsheet if everything is right. So that's not the solution. And as I come as a developer, as you mentioned before, for me, I went nuts in terms of, if developers in this century, I think, if you tell a developer now you have to work without GitHub, where your code is, where your changes are related to the releases and the issues you have, you tell a developer in this, like in a modern developer, you have to work without an observability tool to see in real time what your users are doing, they will say, I quit. That's not the business. I don't want to work in this company. And we found that these data analysts were like left in the dark, like left alone, spending like hours and usually off hours, like checking the websites of their clients. And there's a huge pain there that we needed to solve. And then I broke my promise of not starting a company again. and that's the story. So we talked with the smarter people we know, and during the pandemics, we got together and we did a hackathon. That was the initial version of Trackinplan. And from that, where are we now? Like tens of clients, and revenue in a company. That happens in a blink, but it's 4 years.
Very nice.
That's
And
the
Trackinplan was born and highly
Yep.
successful. I want to ask you something about that data collection piece, which you mentioned it's such an important part and often overlooked. There's not really solutions out there besides Trackinplan, and I'm very glad to hear that you had to take matter in your own hands and get it done.
Yeah.
Sometimes, still though, as part of the data collection, we can't control that source on how the data is being collected. Maybe we don't
Mhm.
have control over that ERP, CRM, or whatever that data is being keyed in, even like on like web analytics stuff and web analytical data. So data quality is still an issue.
Yes, it is.
How is that being solved? What
Yeah.
are the
Um,
solutions
I
there?
think that there are, again, principles that come from web development. That the key one is observability. Trackinplan is an observability solution for data collection, and that means that you have real-time information. You can audit what you actually are collecting in real time. You can create it. You can understand your data. Like understanding what you have, I think, is the main problem you have in collection. You don't know what data you're sending to apps or to Google Analytics, because they are like payloads that you might not understand. So Trackinplan sheds light to this. You can audit your tracking here. And on top of that, it's another principle. You can test things. The basic principle of your work, and I think, is you can test things. If something gets broken, you get notified. Trackinplan does that too. If let's say one event is you stop sending the new lead event to HubSpot, Trackinplan tells you. There are other ways to say, but Trackinplan does that. Or you are passing the page type parameter. That's something that you created and you're saving in Google Analytics. Now it looks like you have never passed before. We tell you. So it's about monitoring your data, and in the end, when you fix that part, your data at the end of your pipeline, as I mentioned before, is better. It's much better. So I think I've seen like crazy mistakes we work with in clients. Like you cannot. Let me give you one simple example. For example, we work with some like online supermarkets brands.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd say most of them, and it'll be like more than like 60% of them. When you have a cart that has more than 50 items, the purchase event is not sent to Google Analytics or Facebook, just because the API of Google Analytics only accepts 8 kilobytes of data or something like that. Sorry, I just made the number, but you only. So this is absolutely unnoticed. You don't have that purchases. What are the consequences? First, if you're using Google Analytics, you cannot count, or this purchase it never happened. So you have that money is not accounted in your real-time reports, but it's connected to Google Ads. So that purchase won't be accounted as a purchase, so it won't inform the automatic system that goes beyond, where this company is actually paying millions in acquisition. So that's a snowball that everything starts because this. And I'm going to give the example. Google Analytics 4 or Google Analytics is not built thinking on solving that problem. It's built it's built for free accounts. It's not enterprise ready, and their problem is not solving that. They care about tracking, like making sure that you use Google Ads is their core problem, for example. So it's a tricky problem. So that's why in Trackinplan we help companies with that.
Kay Strachny is jokingly here saying, I thought AI is going to just do this work now.
That's my favorite topic all the time. And I say, every day, I love to start an AI startup. And we have many AI functionalities in Trackinplan.
Yeah.
But problem is, and people ask me this a lot, will AI kill tracking?
Mm-hmm.
It can't. In the end, you still have, and that's how computers work. You need good data for doing analytics, and AI will be capable of letting AI identify which data you need to calculate what's the revenue per user you have in Brazil.
Yeah,
it's too risky. So that confidence work, that's data that you work on data, because your CEO and your manager will have better information, won't it be improved by AI. But I see AI helping like digital analysts do their job faster. That's key.
And as a follow-up here from Ravit, do you think Excel will ever be replaced, or it will always be part of that tool set for data analysts?
I use Excel every day. So I can, at the very beginning, I was thinking that there should be something better than that. But I think it's at the core of every company out there for a reason. I've seen, you have to check that Excel competitions out there. Just look on YouTube, please, Excel competitions, world Excel competitions. I will see what can be done there. So it's programming for people that doesn't know how to code. And for people that don't know how to code, it's a way to represent things. So Excel is king, will be king.
That's true. And it has a lower barrier of entry as well. And almost everybody in the world has access to Excel. So it can often be a good starting point. Unfortunately, it's often also used as a response to everything, or as a solution for everything. And that's
I think that the problem with Excel is that it doesn't feel solid for reporting. You send me a report in Excel, and as you can edit it, you feel like, okay, this cannot be really professional, but in the end works.
I want to go back to that data observability that you mentioned. And from what you're seeing with some of your clients there, who is in charge of monitoring the data? Who is in charge of the data observability piece? Is it the data analyst?
Yeah, and what I'm seeing right now is that it's a split in two. And that's the same problem as mentioned before. You have probably the technology area or the data area, if it exists in the company, is in charge of once the data is in the system, they code that. So you have a chief of data, something like that.
Yeah.
But you have another side, this is the data collection part, where there's a responsible. I have seen they have many roles, and actually, when we look in the market, it's changing like every day. But it's digital analysts for sure. In some companies, they have like integrators, and one important thing here is marketing people. The marketing teams are getting more specialized and have people that actually do that integrations. They're in charge of that. But what I found is that this is still not a good conversation among these people. There's not good communication between these people. And that's something that we try to solve with Trackinplan too. What I found in some of my big clients is that we are able to put together developers, data analysts, marketers in the same place, so they know the data they have, they know the errors they have, and they can actually have this inside conversation. We didn't expect that. At the very beginning, we were thinking we have a tool that one player can use it and find out the data. And what we found is that we have different players in the same company, same problems actually being debugged by the same people at the same time. They don't know that. So we help to condensate, like to make these people talk in a place where, okay, I have found that I think that this problem is because Google Analytics has this limit. Okay, let's put this in a place that's together. Not even like where I found companies where the digital analytics team is using Jira and the marketing team is using Trello, but they are actually touching the same code. That could be crazy in a software organization that touching the same code, the same integration, you have different people with the same problem at the same time.
Yeah. Diana faced that quite a few times with different teams using different tools, and because of it, they don't have access to the same communication and information.
Yeah. And not only that, I wanted to add to your point that now I'm doing my PhD on digital transformation, and one of the main things that the literature suggests in order for companies to increase their digital maturity is to have this cross-functional communication and these touch points between people from different departments. So your tips for that, how would you increase that communication and collaboration between data analysts, developers, and so on?
I think you need a canvas, like a place that's common for all of them. There are some examples for in other industries, but we try to do that in Trackinplan, like be that canvas. Like what does a good canvas has? It has all the items. What do you have? You have pages, you have events, you have pixels, you have things that you can actually start a conversation and do a conversation about. So when I say this, and that's like a common language. If you don't have a common language, you can have a communication. So we with Trackinplan address that. It's like, this is the Facebook Pixel version 2. That's the name. It's an item, and you can open it and see how it's performing, how it's changing every day, if it has disappeared from one page or from another page. This kind of information, we provide that information. But if we talk about communication, what we are giving here is a place to have a conversation around the topic that's common. If not, what usually happens, and it happens every day in marketing, it's Google Analytics, and they're talking about Google Analytics, and what they mean was Google Ads. Typical, that's classic here. The conversation is the conversion is not working here. And what's conversion? What are we talking about? So we give them, these are your conversion things. You can start a conversation around this topic, and then you can share that and have wherever you want, but you can share that item, and we talk on top of that item. So that's cataloging and lineage and these kind of things that you need to have. Like a common ground is the key here.
Okay, so you're mentioning that data ingestion tool that can also hopefully do the data profiling, data quality checks, data observability. You mentioned the data catalog as well, some sort of reporting tool, the communication aspect as well. Ideally, everything will be in one as well, in one solution.
It's a topic with so many branches. So at least you need to have a common canvas.
Yes.
Some of my clients talk inside Trackinplan. Some others actually talk in GitHub or talk somewhere else, but there's the link to the item we're talking about. I think that's more or less the key. We talk about
it. So as long as you designate one tool that maybe it's already within your company, but you designate that as the trusted hub for all these kind of things, and then you link it all to the appropriate tools. Okay.
Yeah, one of the key parts, I think, is that's why in Trackinplan we did that. What we do in the end is that we are using we see all the data your users are generating. That's real user data. You have a cold truth of what's going on. It's not hypothetical. It's not. I think that we implement right now, and that's let me illustrate that. They're doing that over a spreadsheet that they use, or Word document where they have a specification and they have conversations about the document, talking about, like one example, the event purchase confirmed. You have that event there. They have one specification that someone made 3 years ago, and they're talking, and what they have in front of them is a specification that's false. That's not real. That's why important thing here is to have the most updated data as the context, what's actually going on, and not what someone decided at some point. More or less, it's about having a conversation around the truth, not about your idea, your plans, and what the CPO or the chief marketing officers thought 2 years ago that it was okay. Happens a lot. We in Trackinplan have a lot of times, like, we show the truth. Use a Trackinplan is just one pixel you put it on your site, and we in ours show you the truth, what you have, because we're using that user's data. And when they see that, they actually start saying that cannot be true, this Trackinplan is not working, etc., because they actually are convinced that they are sending the event purchase confirmed always has the item name, and I show them no, it's only 82% of the times when you're passing that data. And they've been working on top of that for a long time. They created reports with the data, and that was not true. So it's having the right conversation about the truth.
Absolutely. We have a comment here from Bruna that I want to take, and she's mentioning, in past employers, as internal auditor, I found oftentimes departments were working close together, but not sharing processes. This led me, an outsider, to identify those gaps and implement easy solutions, which the company already had, but not implemented due to this lack of communication. Yeah, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah, that's a great story. We see that a lot. Imagine we are lucky. We're working with the biggest, I think, biggest or second biggest retailer, like fashion retailer in the world. And in the end, it's normal. These companies have around 1,000 developers just working on their apps and websites. They're working in 130 countries. This is the kind of massive thing. And when you say data, it's not, you don't even know what it means, because data can mean this is our financial data, it's the data we get from our stores, it's the data we get from the website, it's marketing data, it's wherever. And there's always people that took the lead in the past and say, we have to put order on this, that, and they create a process. And then going to the question, we create a process. So the process is still there. They have a graph, they have somewhere else, they have a document that says person A does that, and person B does that, and person C does that. And this should work. And someone is still implementing that somewhere, in probably alone. No one else is doing that. So it's pretty normal. In Trackinplan, we try to make these things converge in one place just by time, and it takes time. And you, again, the only thing you have, and that's our secret weapon for making the process happen, is, like I said before, the truth. You have the cold truth there. You come back because we told you some pixel is broken. We raise that alert. We connect that alert to your Jira system. And then you can come to Trackinplan, say that's the truth, and let it happen. So there's a process around that quality that you need to make converge. So I really feel what she said.
Right. There's another question here from Christian.
We would like to take that. Hello, as a data analyst, I use SQL and sometimes Excel and Tableau for data visualization. I don't have control on data quality, just can report on it. I started using ChatGPT to help me find better tools and strategies to enhance my work. Any suggestions on tools and how to start using AI for data analysts or for data analysis?
Absolutely. I think one of the, I have stopped. I doing using SQL for my whole life.
Yeah.
Now I'm using ChatGPT for doing SQL. That's absolutely. And I think if there's a data analyst in the audience still doing them by hand, please try to do it ChatGPT, because it's actually, for me, it's a main use case for, it takes a lot of time to do a good SQL query. What I suggest, like, to paste when you're using ChatGPT, have a copy in text of your schemas and paste it in your prompt, and then do the question on top of that. So that way it will be able to, like, to do SQL or show tables there. You paste that there and then do your question or add it to your prompt, and you will see magic there. Actually, any tool out there that has this AI solution on top, I think Metabase has something, and ClickHouse has something. Just doing something like that. It's really good. Also theoreticals. You have just explain the problem. I'm building a database that has this field. Just write it down very first and then ask questions about it. Good work.
Sounds good. Now, I wonder, Josele, if you can share with us your vision for the future of data analytics. You have a lot of experience in the field, and as a CEO of Trackinplan and working with so many big clients too, you're seeing a lot of things that we're not privy to.
Let me think.
Yeah, what do you see the future for data analytics?
First of all, I'm really optimistic about this space. I see a lot of data analysts that are really pessimistic, that actually, I know this privacy law will kill us all. Right. They're migrating, there are magic AI tool that will make us fire everyone. I see really a bright future. However, around that, my core idea is that is the new gold movement that actually brought many of us into this business. That is important. Now companies believe in that. People say, it looks like it's not happening. My boss is still not data driven. What I'm seeing is with younger companies, like less than 5 years old, they have a really different view of how to approach to data. And now companies are actually becoming data driven for real. Like every modern company, even the big ones that are less than 5 years ago, old. And on top of that, I would say that what you will find, and I think that the way to discriminate that is that you will start seeing companies that don't want to make a release if the data is wrong, because and you can distinguish companies really clearly with that. And if you take a look, you will see companies being more data driven and more, and in the end, you will your jobs will be more important.
Right.
That's how I see it. Of course, AI will help. I think we already touched that. Of course, auto tagging is a game changer too. But in the end, industry will need great professionals like doing this and taking care of the data.
Sounds good. I know there's a lot of questions coming in here. I want to maybe end with this one from Bruna again, and she's wondering, for someone who is switching careers to data analytics, what data tools would you prioritize to learn?
I would say, of course, learn SQL if as much as possible. Learn to do a Jupyter notebook. You need to think for doing an analysis there. But I would say that DBT is king, and you have to actually study it. And if you're doing like front analytics, let's think of tools like Trackinplan or other tools that are actually in the space, that don't be the one that uses that Chrome extension made from a guy from Idaho, I think. Just try to, if you are spending a lot of time trying to understand something, think that there are other solutions out there. But SQL, DBT, and Python notebooks, I think, are still what you need to master.
Great. And of course, to automatically detect data issues, maintain up-to-date tracking plans, and foster that seamless collaboration that we talked about, also recommend Trackinplan.
Sure. I think that we have a free trial for everyone in your audience. If they mention, just book a demo, and if they mention they come from the Lights Under the Show, I will try to be there for talking with them. And also, if they have questions about things that we left uncovered on this conversation, I can help them with. And we are here to help you. Try Trackinplan. It's trackinplan.com, and start a trial with your clients. Talk to us. We can help you with your data problems for sure.
Thank you, Josele.
Yeah. So the website is trackinplan.com. Everyone can go there. You can book a demo, mention Lights on Data, and you will get that demo. And hopefully Josele will be there as well. Josele, this was amazing. It was very insightful. We have here comments from people, and Ravid was saying this is such an insightful session. Thank you so much for sharing all this information, and thank you so much for what you're doing for this field.
Thank you very much. It was really fun, and have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.